Hey folks, this is Dr. K, and in this series of videos we're going to look at how to combine your View project, which is basically project 3, which is we call it your client project, but it's basically going to be your front end code. That's the code that's going to come down to the browser, with project 4, which is we call it your server project, and that's the code that interacts with the database and sits on the server. Okay, so we're going to see how to combine those two projects in this series of video. So the first step is to actually duplicate your server project and duplicate your client project and then rename them. So we're going to see how to do that. So right here, I have the server project open. So my server project, it's called Another Bookstore Rest. Yours will be called Your Name Bookstore Rest. And I just want to show you, I'm getting these errors over here. And that's because for some reason it's IntelliJ is not recognizing my database. So if I just kind of click on this database and I hit refresh, well, let me show you what these errors are. It's not recognizing that I have a book table in my database. That's because for some reason IntelliJ is not seeing my database. So I'm just going to hit refresh this. And that error goes away. Okay, and just as a reminder, always important, make sure that Pulse Secure, Virginia Tech's Pulse Secure, is open and active. Okay, whenever you're accessing a database on the CS5244 server. Okay, so I've got my notes here for duplicating my project. Finish your project 4, so let's see if it's finished. I'm going to run this. It's already set up. It should work. It should show the data I have in my database, the categories and the books. Yeah, so here's the categories. Here are the books. And looks like, yeah, I've got 25 books in 5 categories. All right, and I want to make sure that the API is working. This is pretty important. API, categories. So that's working, but let's just go to the most complicated one here. API, categories, name, and let's do science fiction. And let's do the suggested books. That's probably the most complicated path we have. And in fact, let's put a query parameter. It has a query parameter, so let's use it. Limit equals 2. So we should get 2 random books from the science fiction category, which is exactly what we get. And to kind of double check that out, if you load that again, you should get 2 different books. Okay, because they're random. All right, and looks like that is working, so fantastic. Now what I'm going to go do is, this project is working. I'm going to stop this. So this is called Another Bookstore Rest. We want Another Bookstore Fetch. We want to put this into a project called Another Bookstore Fetch. I'm going to I do have actually Another Bookstore Fetch right here. It's in a folder called Another Bookstore Fetch 2. I'm going to create one called Another Bookstore Fetch Walk. Okay, so I'm going to go into my file system, and I'm going to go developers 5244, sorry. And there's Another Bookstore Rest. So I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to call this Another Bookstore Fetch Walk. Okay. And some of you may have noticed this already, but the bookstore name does not have to, conform to your WAR file. So I'm just going to call that another bookstore walk, another bookstore fetch walk, but I'm going to make the WAR file that needs to be uploaded to the server. I'm going to make that called another bookstore fetch. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll open IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate, and we'll open that project. Another bookstore fetch walk that we just duplicated from another bookstore rest. I'm going to open this. I'm going to trust the project. And I think all I have to do is rename my WAR file. Oh, no, that's not all I have to do. I have to go into my settings.gradle or my Gradle property? Yeah, my settings.gradle, and I need to change this to another bookstore fetch. And I changed the Gradle file, so I have to update the Gradle changes. I have to load the Gradle changes. And you can see that it rebuilds the entire project, which is great. And now I don't want to run this because if you look at the configuration of Tomcat, you will see that if we go to deployment, it has another bookstore rest in here. And I want to actually delete this artifact. Okay, and now it's asking me to fix something, and because I updated Gradle file, it should give me the right hint. And yeah, there it is, another bookstore fetch.war, and that's the one I want now. And of course, it gives me this terribly named application context. I want the application context to be named another bookstore fetch. Okay, apply that. I'll check the server that this is the URL I want. It looks good. And now I'm going to run Tomcat. And there's all my books. And let's check the API by using categories /name/science fiction /books. No, let's do the suggested books. Query our parameter limit equals 2. And that's what we got. Okay, so there it is. We've successfully duplicated our server-side project.